We hear what you would say. Say yes to your will. All that you will say to us. Let not a word of all that you speak fall in vain. They bring forth fruit. And your great love for us. Because of your great love for us. Because of your great love for us. Because your mercy endures forever. Oh, your spirit, speak, Lord, your servants here. The other day, I had a dream that I suppose, like most dreams we have, they quickly fade away when you wake up. I couldn't remember the dream, but I could remember that in the dream there was a verbal altercation. There was an argument happening. And I knew that the argument was between Moses and God. And so I shared it with Sylvia, and I dismissed it and moved on. discussion, this exchange between God and Moses. I find it played out on the pages of chapters 32 and 33 of the book of Exodus. There, it centers around God's anger and his intent, his expressed intent to withdraw his presence from among them. And Moses argues, he makes a good case. And so God ultimately relents, is what the King James says, that God relents. God relents of the evil he intended to do because Moses argues him down. Moses, in a sense, talks God off a cliff. Later in chapter, as the conversation continues, in chapter 33 and verse 3, there is this phrase that is disturbing to Moses and ultimately disturbing to the people, where God says, you can go up to the promised land, but I'm not going with you. He says, you can go to the land of milk and honey. You can go and conquer the Amorites and the Jebusites and the Hittites. And you can go up there with all the people and get the milk and honey that I promised you, but I ain't going. I'm not going with you. The backdrop of this is in chapter 32. In chapter 32, Moses is in the mountain. He is in the mountain getting a word from God. He is in the mountain literally getting a word from God. God literally writes the word on tablets of stone with his finger. He is, you can't really get more of a word than that. He is literally getting a word from God in the mountain. While Moses is in the mountain, in the presence of God, getting a word from God, the people have grown tired of waiting and have turned to idolatry. You probably know this story. They take what is God's blessing to them. Their goal. This is what God took from the Egyptians to set them up for their future, and gave it to them. They take the blessings of God. They take from the blessings of God that they are wearing, give it to Aaron, who collects it, melts it down, and fashions it into a golden calf. They take God's blessings and they make gods of them. And then give credit for their deliverance to the God they created. Because they got tired of waiting. They said, we don't even know what has happened to this Moses person. Refusal to wait on God will always lead got to have what I got to have, and I got to have it now. I got to have what I want, and I got to have it now. I can't live without refusing to wait on God. Always leads to idolatry. Moses is in the presence. He's in the Shekinah glory of God. He is experiencing God's presence like nobody else. I mean, imagine, as a matter of fact, the people have seen the glory of God. They have seen God move among them. This is why this is a big deal, because God has been among them. He's been among them. He has moved with them. It is the presence of God among. It's not their strength or their own goodness. It's the presence of God among them that moves among them, that opens up the Red Sea. It's the presence of God among them that causes manna and all the blessings to fall on them. It's the presence of God among them that has kept them all this time. In fact, even when they didn't know it, even when he seemed to have forgotten, it was the presence of God hovering over them that kept them for 400 years in the land of Egypt. Moses is in the mountain with God.
Come on.
God is talking to him. God is writing the words, and then all of a sudden there is this, in verse number 7 of chapter 32, there is this shift. God turns on a dime. God is talking to Moses, and all of a sudden God says, stop, get down from the mountain. This people you brought out of Egypt has corrupted themselves. I read this and I think to myself, didn't anybody feel this?
Come on.
While they were dancing and carrying on down, didn't anybody feel the shift? That God was moving among them all this time, that God was present with them all this time. Didn't they feel when God moved?
Come on, preach.
Seemed to me somebody should have felt God move. I mean, we read a story about Samson, right? Samson is going, I'm going to shake myself like I always shake myself. And he didn't even know that God was gone. How is it that nobody knew God had moved? That God had withdrawn, that God had shifted?
Come on, preach.
Maybe because they were too busy making gods of gold.
Come on now.
That they didn't notice that the true God was gone. Aaron, Moses comes down in verse 21 to 24. Moses comes down. He's ticked. Meek Moses loses it. In fact, he throws down tablets. Y'all saw it. This is the one thing that God and Moses have agreed on so far, that this is a stiff-necked people. That they do what they want to do, whenever they want to do it, however they want to do it, no matter what God says. It's stiff-necked. It's stiff-necked. My son and daughter and my grandson tried to teach me a game the other day. It took him a minute to get it. I don't know the name of the game, but you hold your fingers up and point that way, and the person who's watching you is supposed to turn their head the opposite direction. All at the same time. So you're supposed to guess that if they're pointing that way, you turn that way. It is an exercise in stiff neck. That we are good at. If God points that way, we go that way. God points up and we go down. We go the other way because we are stiff-necked. Because that's what he talks about. These people, they are stiff-necked. That God does everything for them, and God is only as good to them as his last. Wait a minute.
Come on. Wow.
And they are too impatient to wait on God, and so they do their own thing. Aaron takes no responsibility. I'm just talking. I had a dream, and Aaron takes no responsibility. He points to the people. He points to the people. He blames the people. That sounds familiar. He blames the people. He blames the people for him. Moses says to him, what they do to you, do that you have done this. Moses is asking a legitimate question. Did they threaten you? Did they threaten your kids? Did they threaten you? What did they do to make you do this? Aaron takes no responsibility, no ownership for his actions. In fact, in verse 21, he accuses Moses of overreacting. He tells Moses, calm down, dude. In fact, he says, you're expecting too much. You're expecting too much of these people. You know these people are prone to evil. You're expecting too much from these people. Do you understand that argument? That somehow a people whom God has loved and chosen when they were nothing, somehow a people who God has delivered from the hand of Pharaoh, somehow a people whom God has delivered from the raging Red Sea and kept in the wilderness, that somehow it is too much of God, it is too much to ask that they do what he said. You asking too much. You asking too much. They are prone to evil. You asking too much. They got their own lives. You are asking too much. Everybody's got stuff they gotta do. They don't have time to wait on God. Moses, you're overreacting. Calm down, dude. It's too much. Even if Aaron is right, and the people can't do no better. Even if Aaron is right and Moses is overreacting. Y'all listening to me? Even if Aaron is right about the people and he's right about Moses, what about him? Because that's really what the question is about. The question ain't about whether the people are prone to or incapable of obedience. The question is not, is Moses expecting too much? The question on the table is, Aaron, what's up with you, dude?
All right.
You a leader. Aaron. It's hard to lead people when you're no better than the people you lead. This is a prime example of leading from behind. This is a prime example of leading from behind. The people wanted to do it, and Aaron led. So we get to verse 3 of chapter 33. Y'all still here?
Amen.
And God says, go ahead on, but I ain't going. And when the people understand what has just happened, they mourn. I want you to let that sink in. When people realize how big a deal this is,
Yes.
they mourn. Even these stiff-necked people are smart enough to know God not going is a big deal.
Yeah.
Because even they are smart enough to see and to recognize that the only thing that's kept them has been God going with them.
Amen.
They mourn. You see it there, they strip off their ornaments. They strip off the gold they got left. And the ones who haven't put it on refuse to put it on. Because ain't nothing to celebrate. But in the first place, I don't know what they're doing with all this gold jewelry on in the middle of the desert. But they strip the jewelry off of themselves. God tells them, strip off your jewelry while I decide what I'm going to do with you.
All right.
That sounds a little bit like my daddy. Go in that room, take off them trousers while I decide what I'm going to do with you. Go sit over there while I decide what I'm going to do with you. Because right now, you don't want me coming in that room. Let me think about what I'm going to do with you so that I don't act out of the anger that I feel. They strip off the ornaments. What's this about? They have given a portion of their gold to Aaron to make a god, and the rest they strip off. It is because, listen to this, it is because whenever the portion is corrupted, then the rest is I don't know if you understand this principle. It is when the tithe is corrupted because it went to idolatry, then the rest of it is corrupted. When we honor God, this ain't about money. We're going to get to money, but I want you to understand this. It's about time, all of it. When we honor God with our tithe, then the rest that we have left is blessed. When we dishonor God by the tithe, then the rest is corrupt. It doesn't matter how well you manage the rest. In God's eyes, the rest of it is corrupt. You can always scratch and claw. You can always live it looking over your shoulder, waiting for the hole to appear in the bottom of the bag. You can always live it wondering whether or not there is provision. Whenever you have corrupted and dishonored God with the tithe, then all of it is corrupted. God says, take off the gold. I don't want you wearing what's corrupt in my presence. Take it off while I decide what I'm going to do with you.
That's right.
When we dishonor God with a portion, then everything is tainted. You know, so we have time that is God's. And so, because I'm tired of waiting on God, I take what should be God's
All right.
Come on, preach.
and I use it in my idolatry. And then I wonder why the rest of my time
Come on.
is not effective and efficient.
Come on.
Because the portion is tainted,
Good
the
rest.
rest of it is tainted.
Wow.
Wow.
Right.
I don't know how else to explain that to you. We can go a little bit deeper in it. It's when I rob from God and I spend my time doing my thing when I should be doing God's thing. When I rob from God and I give the tithe of my money or of my time and I give that to my efforts in idolatry, whether I'm my own God or some hobby is my God or some addiction is my God. When I give what is God's to another God,
Come on, preach.
then everything I have left is tainted. And you cannot ask God legitimately. Don't worry, I'm getting off of this in a minute. You cannot legitimately ask God to bless what you have left when you have robbed from him with the 10. You ain't gonna never get ahead. You ain't gonna never make them ends meet.
That's right.
And if you do, it's still tainted.
That's right. Preach. Tell the truth.
There's a funny thing about this thing that the holes in the bag. Y'all read that scripture? The holes in the bag. God said, "You keep stealing from me, I'm gonna punch holes in your bag, and you're gonna be walking home with your bag of money, and you ain't gonna know what happened to all of it." Somebody follow my hand. Just keep somebody that's been good and obeying God, gonna just follow behind you. Ooh, thank you, Jesus. The problem is that while the holes are in your bag, you don't really know that the holes are in the bag until you have to go in the bag for a need. And that's when we say, God, and he said, "What you want me to do?" And got me wrong from that. So what's this text really about for us? There's this almost parenthetical phrases that started verse 7 of chapter 33. And we've been using this as the basis of re-envisioning the prayer meeting on Wednesday night. Moses has this. Verse 7 said, "Now Moses used to take a tent and pitch it outside the camp." Verse 7. His tent of meeting. He calls it a tent of meeting. It's not the tabernacle. Okay? It's not the tabernacle that's supposed to be in the center of the camp. This is, in fact, Moses' own tent that he has moved outside the camp. This is where he goes to meet with God. He calls it a tent of meeting. It is where he goes to meet with God, and God meets with him there. It is not the tabernacle for worship. It is a tent for prayer. This phrase used to seems to imply a practice. Practice. That this was a practice of Moses. This was a habit of Moses to go to God. In fact, the verses say that he would go to God in this tent. And when he got in the tent, that the glory of God in a pillar of cloud would appear at the doorway of the tent. And there he would talk with God, God and him face to face as a man talks with his friend. It implies intentionality. Are you all listening to me? It implies intentionality. It implies a rhythm, a schedule of life that is built around his time with God, not other stuff. Do you understand that his life is built around his meeting with God? This is how Daniel lived. Remember Daniel? Daniel prayed 3 times a day. He prayed 3 times a day. He had this rhythm in his life that was built around his time of meeting with God. It wasn't the other way around. It wasn't how when he could fit it in. It wasn't, oh, if I get a break at lunch, oh, if I do it. He built his life around the rhythm of returning over and over again to God. This is Moses. He said Moses was used to. He used to set up a tent out in the wilderness, outside of the camp, and there he would go to meet with God.
Come on.
It means that he scheduled his life around meeting with God. When is the last time you built your life around meeting with God? Was this just something that I fit in when I get enough time, when I get a moment, I'll meet with him? Is God so unimportant that we have to fit him in?
Wow.
Come on.
He would go to meet with God in the tent of meeting. Look at verse 7 again. It says that everybody, whoever sought God, whoever wanted to inquire of God, whoever wanted a word from God, whoever wanted to hear it from God and meet with God, whoever wanted to hear something from God for their life would go to the tent. Say to the tent. They would go to the tent. They would go to the tent. Maybe the reason we're not hearing from God is that we won't go to the tent.
Come on.
I don't know if you realize it, but we set up a tent. We pitch a tent at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night.
All right. Come on.
And maybe the reason you're not hearing, is because you won't come to the tent. It's where God speaks. Yes, it is where God speaks. It is where major shifts happen. It is where intention and direction gets communicated. It's where we hear from God.
Come on.
It's where we hear from God. Look at verse 8. I'm almost done. Look at verse 8. Whenever Moses went to meet with God, what happened? Whenever Moses went to meet with God, all the people knew that it was time to meet with God. Everybody that saw the Lord, whenever they saw Moses leave, the text says that they came out of their tent and watched Moses, and they knew that it was time to go meet with God. Is this registering with with you? They knew that when Moses went to the tent, that what? That it was time to meet with God. Jesse, where am I on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock? Where am I on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock? He been with me 35 years. That's where I am on Wednesday night. Nobody who knows me needs to ask where I am on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Why? Because all the people who want to inquire of God know that Moses comes to the tent. I'm trying to help you understand what God wants. I'm trying to help you understand what God wants. When Moses went to meet with God, the people knew it was time to meet with God. Maybe this is Aaron's problem.
Come on, preach.
Is that he leads in the tabernacle when they worship, but he won't lead in the tent when they pray.
All right. Good. Amen.
You check it out, that's all right. I'm going to keep going until I'm finished.
Come on, preach.
This may explain why Aaron's heart is so out of sync with Moses' heart. Because if you want the heart of Moses, you got to go to the heart of Moses. And the heart of Moses is in the tent. If you want to know, otherwise you're going to keep on making Aaron-like decisions. You're going to keep on doing stuff that's out of sync with where God and Moses are, because you won't get to where the heart of God and Moses are.
Come on, preach.
You understand? Do you understand what the words that are coming out of my mouth? That this is not about your schedule. This is not about your children. This is not about anything else. This is not about you need me time. This is about anybody who wants to inquire of God. God doesn't move one Israelite at a time. He's not moving one Israelite at a time from Egypt to the promised land. He is moving them all together. When Miriam messed up, God struck her, and then he didn't leave Miriam behind. He made them wait 7 days till she cured before they could move forward. We all move together. Let me tell you that what holds us up is not having a full worship team. What holds us up is not all these other things that we think are so important. What holds us up is that when Moses comes to the tent, you won't leave your tent. And we're going to keep waiting. I want you to understand my heart. And I cried and I prayed about this, because I said, God, I don't want to beat up on your, I don't want to beat up on your people. But we got to get this. You understand that we got to get this. Aaron doesn't know Moses' heart. not where Moses' heart is. And I want to tell you, I can give you all the handouts I can give you. I can print up papers for Bible study and send them out. I can do all of this stuff. We can do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if you don't get to the place where Moses' heart is, you will never have the heart of Moses. At the core of this is a heart issue. Are you listening?
Yes.
At some point, we all have to look in the mirror and ask, what's wrong with me? You understand? Because what's wrong with me, what's wrong with you, has nothing to do with what's wrong with other people. It's about you.
Amen. That's right.
It's about you. At some point, you've got to look in the mirror and say, what is wrong? What is wrong that I can do life? That I can do life so much of life without God. Do you feel me? Am I suggesting that just because a person doesn't come to the tent on Wednesday that they don't pray? No, that's not what I'm suggesting at all. I am suggesting, though, that if the tithe is tainted, the rest of it's probably tainted too. I am suggesting that if there is capacity and willingness, that you would be here. I am suggesting, I'm not suggesting, I'm saying that we do whatever we want to do. The question before us is why you don't want to do it. Because it's not about your schedule. It's not about whether you can. Because if something happened and your life went south and the doctor said, guess what? Your whole life is changing starting now. Guess what? Your whole life will change starting now. Your whole life will change starting now. You do what you want to do. You do what you want to do. A few years ago, I didn't want to get on the bike. I didn't want to get on the treadmill. But I went to the doctor because my knee was still bothering me, and he said he want to have surgery. He want to cut. And cutting, if it ain't a steak, and another doctor says you take these glucosamine, and you get on the bicycle or the treadmill 20 minutes every day. Let me tell you something. I rearranged my whole life.
All right, amen.
Come on, preach.
To take them pills and get on that bike. The real question for you and me is how people die. How is it? What is it in our hearts or not in our hearts that allows us to continually do life without the benefit of corporate prayer? Look at verse 9. Verse 9, the tent is about pursuit of the presence of God. Why are we praying? What's our goal? What are we after? We are after every person engaged in deepening corporate prayer until we see a discernible increase in the active presence of God among us.
Amen.
Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? So we're not after just coming here and saying stuff. We're not just after just coming here and sitting together and whatever. We have a pursuit in mind when we meet with God. Our agenda is to get before God and to hear from him, have him hear from us in a regular, systematic, planned, intentional way until we see a discernible increase in the presence of God. And then from there, he'll tell us where else to go.
Amen. Amen.
Are you hearing me?
Yes. Lord.
A few weeks ago, I got a request before service to pray for your two daughters, two of your daughters. And it reminded me that God said, don't withhold from the people the bread that I have for them. That God wants to see among us. We spent several weeks talking about how to pray and believe God and getting God out of the box and understanding how God works and when he heals, when he does, and all that stuff. We spent a whole lot of time. He says, now we're done with that. Now every time you come together, you pray for healing for whoever's there. And that's what we started doing.
Amen.
That's what we started doing. We're not trying to be showy or anything else. All we want to do is to keep pushing the envelope to test whether the discernible increase in the active presence of God is among us. And so we're going to keep praying. We're going to keep praying. And we'll pray, and if that person don't get healed, we're going to say next, and we're just going to keep on going, and we're just going to keep on going every time we come. And we prayed, and the baby got healed, and passed the hearing test, right? And the other one, she hasn't had the migraine since. Thursday night, we gathered and prayed for Sylvia, and God immediately healed her of the pains in her back, and she hasn't had them since. I don't know, I didn't hear other testimonies, but it's not about sensationalism. It is about being able to know that when we come together, that there is that the active presence of God is discernible. That we know he's here, that we know he is among us, that we know we can reach out and touch him, and he can touch us, and we'll keep praying until that happens. And the measure is not just the increase in the presence of God, but that comes because of an increase in the people of God coming to the tent of God. Amen. Now, I'm done. You can do with this whatever you're going to do with this. Do I care what you do with it? Absolutely, I care. Because the longer it takes us to move together, the longer we stay put.
Yes.
That's right.
My God. My God.
And frankly, I'm too old to keep marching around the same sand. You can grieve this. You can be angry about what I'm saying. Pastor don't understand. Pastor don't understand. Do you understand? Are you hear my heart? Do you hear my heart that I love you? Do you understand that this girl and I, we raised 2 sons? We raised 2 sons, and we raised them in church. We raised them in church on Sunday, and we raised them in the prayer meeting. We went to the prayer meeting, they went to the prayer meeting. You ain't the only one ever raised kids. You ain't the only one ever had a job. I just retired in January. Do you understand that the devil allows us to exaggerate and keep pacifying our idols to keep us from getting in the presence of God? If you want the presence of God, you can find the presence of God. You know, I don't like this, and I don't like this, and I don't like so-and-so comes to prayer, so I ain't coming to prayer. You stupid. I take it back. You are not stupid. But that decision is. Come on. No, I don't want to call y'all stupid and not making it the promise. They understand my heart. This is not fussing. This is some hard truth that we got to get. I'm going to tell you, all the Aarons among us, all you leaders, ministers, deacons, and other ministry leaders, and you can't find your way to prayer, the level of confidence in your leadership is greatly minimized. Because you can't lead God's people where you don't go. And I'm going to tell you just like it is. Listen, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm trying to get us ready for our future, but I'm going to tell you, I will never trust in your hands complete leadership of God's people, and you won't pray with me and pray with God's people. I will never trust you to make decisions on your own, and you won't pray with me. Because you're out of sync. You're out of sync. You don't know where we are. God moved, and you're still in the same place. You don't know He moved. You don't know what He's doing. You don't know where my heart is. Listen, I get, oh, my time is gone. I get that you don't like this. I don't either. But the truth is the truth. Look at the neighbor next to you, tell them, get it together. Listen, you can reason. You can reason this. You can read. This is too late. All right, it's too late. You can reason it. Try to reason this away. I'm going to tell you. I'm not playing you. You can try to reason this away. You can rationalize. You can rationalize your behavior. You can rationalize your action. You can do all of that. There are people who come that come to the prayer meeting to meet with God and don't even get to go home. They come here and don't go home because they know if they go home, they may not get back. Or they come straight from work, or get off the train, or drive here straight from work to be in the prayer meeting. You can rationalize this away. You can resist it. You can resist everything that has been said. You can absolutely refuse to do it. Or you can repent. You can repent and you can get it right. a desire. Listen. If your desire, your will, is truthfully after God and truthfully after repentance, as it relates to what has been said today, God will make a way. He has never stood in the way of obedience. And if you want to obey